good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining today's session on Intro to ML and AR. And for those of you who don't know, ML is machine learning, AR is augmented reality. So these are two really heavy, hot topics right now. So I'm super excited that I can actually show you guys a real implementation, nothing big. I've seen so much as someone who really studies the game. I've seen all the variants, and I want to show you all something that really works today. So I'm excited to show you this. So my micro brand so my company name here, we'll go to the next slide, is Near Future Marketing. And from there, we have AugmaOS. So that's the system that I'm going to be showing off today. AugmaOS is what I call a reality engine. I've been working on it for about 2 years now. And basically, it's built on top of ARKit so that I can create any type of augmented reality app. But it has all of these different, micro apps that I've built over time. So you'll get to see some of that. It's really, really cool. I'm excited to show that off. Specifically AugmaOS 4 here, I've been working on that for the last 9 months, and I recently just finished that. So it's exciting to show that off for the first time ever. Again, my company's name is Near Future Marketing, so you can follow that online, Instagram, Twitter, but I just check out the website, nearfuture.marketing, and my name is Casey Pollock. And so we don't have a lot of time here, so I'm not going to cover everything on these slides. I just wanted to give everyone that full background in case you didn't know. You can feel like you're leaving as an expert in 25 minutes. But there are augmented reality capable devices. So if you joined the last session with Kevin, you were seeing Snapchat, you were seeing a lot of that facial recognition. But there's so much more when it comes to AR. There's so many different types of devices that can do AR. And so for the people who don't know, I created this chart. And starting from the bottom, you can see we have what's called the peppered ghost effect. So if you've seen the Tupac hologram at Coachella or any of the other dead artists who suddenly are able to perform on stage, that is what I would consider the most basic form of AR. From there, we have the older phones. So this is just, anything made before 2012 probably. And what was key here is that you do have the text messaging and email and some QR code, and as well as 3DOF, which is 3 degrees of freedom. So we can track an image, but we can't really move around it and get in and out as far as depth. Then we have our flagship phones. So this will be your standard iPhone 11 or whatever you have these days. And you can see that these play a key, so these are the building blocks. So each one of these, starting with the flagship phones, has everything below it. So I hope that makes that chart a little bit clearer. But yeah, this is kind of where we mostly are. This is where most consumers are today. And then we have AR glasses, which we all know about. They already exist. There's the HoloLens, there's the Magic Leap, there's Unreal, there's so many, I could name them forever. But I think what's really key for AR glasses is that they need to be fashionable and affordable in the long term, but definitely fashionable. And I think that's where what we're missing at the moment still. We're getting there, but there's just all these other features that for it to be the real deal, it needs to have eye tracking, voice recognition, hand recognition, and everything else below. So we're almost there. Maybe, we'll see something after WWDC, but we'll see. I'm not going to speculate. At least we know what is really necessary. And so because this is about machine learning, I wanted to point out the fact that the very underlying technology of augmented reality is strong computer vision with scene understanding. And what that means is that, it's an AI that is really good at doing one thing, specifically pointing out features in a scene, pointing out what's a chair, what's a table, there's the floor. That's all it's really doing is it's just tracking some points and laying out like, hey, the table's over here. And from there, you should put the 3D model on top of that table, which is X, Y, and Z over there. So it's really, really, a lot simpler than you think, but it is also the most complex technology in existence on a consumer side for sure. So keep that in mind. But what can AR be really? It's informative, definitely. You can see here we have different ways of gathering information. Directions, if you were looking at a statue, you could get more info. If you were measuring your suitcase, you can do that from your phone now. So it's definitely informative. It's definitely powerful. So again, we're building all of this on top of a game engine. That's what AR is. It's a game engine mapped to the real world thanks to the AI that can understand the scene. And when you combine that, you are really creating powerful possibilities. And that creates that paradigm shift. Definitely, we're coming up on a paradigm shift where we won't be using computers the same way that we've been using them for the last 10 to 60 years, if you really want to count back, because this is really a huge leap. in that we're storing data spatially. We're storing it in our world. We're storing it X, Y, Z, up and down, left and right, in and out. So it really does change how you interact with data and how you store that data. And it just changes everything about what we're doing already. So yeah, that's just really quick, brief portions of some AR. And when you look at what industries is this affecting, it's affecting every industry. Machine learning can affect every industry. Augmented reality can affect every industry. So when you combine them, or even without, they're still together. They're like this. They can't really grow one without the other. So it's going to change everything, and it's definitely a field that is worth looking into, because you can go into AR and then maybe specifically work with healthcare, or specifically work with construction, or specifically work for games. It's really up to you. The technology is really a new type of computing. And so this is how I create a lot of my content. And I recommend everyone hop into AR, whether it's Snapchat, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, if it's ARKit or Google. I just definitely recommend hopping into it, because I do, again, think there's a paradigm shift that has already started. I've been watching it for years now, but it's definitely at its peak at the moment. And I think that anyone can really hop in, and especially now it's easier than ever. There's even less noise. More and more AR companies are starting to fail, more of the hardware suppliers. So that only leaves so many really great lanes if you want to get your content distributed. So definitely for me, I create iPhone apps, and I start with Xcode. And this is what I do basically, is that we build on top of ARKit. And from there, you also can build a machine learning model, and you could also work with like health data, or weather data, or whatever it is. But the moral of the story here is Apple has definitely made it extremely easy they've changed the entire game as far as creating AR applications, and definitely creating machine learning applications with no prior experience. I think that's the really big key there, is that you can do it for real if you take enough time to learn these small things that you have to do, versus 5 years ago you'd have to do 1,000 things, and now it's like, oh, you just do these 3 to 5 things and you have an app that you can sell that uses augmented reality. So definitely I recommend Xcode, because it is free to just start developing. And with Blender, it's another free application that allows you to view and edit 3D models. So this is, again, another one that has changed the game year over year over year over year. And here we are in 2020. There's so much information that's available on YouTube about Blender. On Udemy, if you buy courses, there's so much information, and the app has only gotten more and more powerful and more accessible. So definitely, if you want to get into AR, I would recommend one of these two. I would also recommend Spark AR from Facebook/Instagram. That's a great one. And definitely what Kevin showed earlier with Lens Studio is another great way to get into AR. Those ones require less code, but I mean, at the end of the day, somewhere along the way, code definitely needs to be used in AR, because it's about what the computer is looking at. So that's the end of my presentation. We're going to hop straight into my demo here. So let me unlock my phone, and we'll do QuickTime. And I want to remind everybody, just go ahead and type any questions in the chat. I'll try to tackle questions at the end here, but I didn't really go through this too much because the technology works. Here, sorry, at the top here. So we're just a demo and just show off how this all works. So we'll do Casey's iPhone. Oops, I think it's loading. Let's try that one more time. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Okay, so I believe everybody should be able to see my screen. And again, if you double tap on the hop-in screen, if you double tap that window that's on the side, instead of seeing me in a big window, you can see my screen in a big window. So I just want to remind everyone that if you want to zoom in, you kind of can. You definitely can. And let's go ahead and show you. So the app I'm going to show off today, again, it's all built on top of AugmaOS, but we're going to show off HoloGarden for machine learning specifically. So let me turn around here. And I have some plants set up in my room here. And so the idea with this is that I'm just going to show you AugmaOS 4, and then we'll go into the machine learning. So you can see that it's just saying you can identify objects and plants. step forward, then tap anywhere to begin. So basically what that means is I'm trying to convince the users who possibly have like an iPhone 6S, if they're, an older phone, if they at least step forward, that helps the machine learning underlying in the augmented reality from ARKit, that helps it recognize more points of interest, and therefore app performance improves. You can see we already have like a little fish here, and this is a live, like a randomized fish. So if I could create more of these fish, I would tap here and create another one. And there's also different types of brains. So there's dolphins and fish, but the moral of the story there is that they are operating independently, 100% random, while I do everything else. So you can see we can explore the rest of the operating system here. I'm not going to show off all the features today necessarily, but I would like to show you a little bit of the operating system side, just so you can see that all of this works and it's a full fleshed out application, but you can still use that machine learning in real time. And so this is like the advanced settings menu. And again, this is just a cool way that we can store information and use computers now because we're working spatially. So you can see I can even reach out and like occlude that. And it's really here in the room, but this is like a menu. This is basically, I'm just exploring the credit section, an example of this specific app. So that's really cool. But let's hop into the machine learning part because it's super easy. So we'll tap this middle button here. And this is Plant ID. So again, you build a machine learning model with Apple's technology. You literally just use your iPhone, go to wherever it is you are, doing whatever it is you're doing. If you want to identify dogs, an example, you would take maybe 100 to 600 pictures of your dog from, all these different angles or multiple different dogs. And that way you have that. And then you would also maybe take 600 pictures of things that are not dogs. And that way the computer finds those patterns. That's what machine learning is it just locates these patterns that us humans can't really locate that easily. It finds these patterns that of like, oh, that's what a dog looks like. And that's what a not dog looks like. And, it just maps those out for us. And Apple has created a method that basically takes those 600 images, which may be gigabytes, and literally the model comes out as 15 kilobytes. So that's less than a song, that's smaller than an MP3. It's really amazing. But as far as Plant ID here, you literally can just like get up on a plant maybe and tap it. And I think the sound is actually off here. But yeah, so you'll see there it said miscellaneous. Let's actually try that one more time. And there you can see it says plant. And you'll see the difference now is that in plant, it actually shows a completely different menu and also plays a different sound, but there's no sound at the moment. But again, we'll do this one. And you can see that's also a plant. And if I point at something like this fan here, you'll see it's mist. It's because it's not a plant. We know that for sure. If I point super up close on this soil, you can see that it also knows that that's dirt. So again, these are things that I just took the time to take pictures of. And by taking those pictures, you just run it through Apple's software. There's no code involved when it comes to creating a machine learning model. And from there, yeah, you are literally creating a model that can be drag and drop into Xcode and used directly in an app. So there's so many layers to this. There's so many things you could do with something like this. But basically, it does actually work. And this is just a really basic example that, from a plant now, we know that it's a plant. Maybe I want to start a measurement. Maybe I want to look at the charts. Maybe I want to, edit that plant. Whatever you want to do, it's all contextualized because of the machine learning model. And the moment I leave that specific micro app now, the way I've set AugmaOS up is that it's no longer using that machine learning model. It's no longer burning your battery. So it's really, really efficient in that it's only identifying things when you're asking it to identify things. And when you're not, then it's going to cut that machine learning model off and allow you to continue doing your normal augmented reality stuff and, other basic UI stuff. But I mean, yeah, the whole system is going to work basically and not crash while I can, generate, let's say, I don't have a good way of doing this today, but I could make up to 1,000 of those animals and it still would, allow me to use my machine learning model. There's my little cardboard soldier guy here. You can see I can still pick him up and like edit him and like, now there's no limitations just because I'm using machine learning. Oh, that's a bug, but keep going. And you can see I can, plant models down and, these are high poly, mid poly models that are in here. So it's not like I'm really like, low poly. This is all like usually the models that I put in my apps, production level apps are going to be, real things that I took time to make or spent money on. So yeah, that's a quick demo of AugmaOS and machine learning. Let's see how we are on time here. 9:41. Oh, that's also a bug. Sorry, guys. I think I'm running a beta, so I think that's a bug there. My time is wrong, but it's 11:47. So I think from here, yeah, I definitely want to just kind of open up for more questions, unless you guys just want to see more demos. So let me check out. Can we export the ML model and use it outside? So no, yes and no. No, in that if you want to just use Apple's direct method where you can, create something really quickly, really efficiently using your GPU that's built in on your MacBook, that would basically is going to be exclusive to Apple. It's going to be exclusive to iPhone. However, when you create that model, again, I told you you're going to go outside or wherever you are and take 600 to 1,000 pictures. Those pictures could be used in a different application to train the exact same type of model. It may not be as optimized as Apple's because Apple just has, engineers working on their compression and all that stuff. So it's called a quantization specifically. But yeah, it's reportable because you have the source images, but it's not in that Apple has created an extremely efficient method that works with the machine learning cores that are built into your iPhone or your iPad. So can we use TensorFlow models and use it on Coreml? Yes, there is a conversion tool that converts TensorFlow models in Cafe and this is, they've been working on this since ARKit came out. So this has been a 2 or 3 year effort on their machine learning half, and it's really grown and it's better than ever. Let me go ahead and demo how that works. So yeah, that's what I'll do. We'll stop doing AugmaOS actually. I know you guys want to see more, but since there's some great questions here, we'll open the normal Xcode. So this is the current release version of Xcode. And if you right click it and you go into Open Developer Tool here, there's this one called Create ML, and there's also Reality Composer. Definitely recommend checking that out if you've never done AR, because it doesn't require any code. So if you want to create AR experiences for iPhones and iPads, or maybe glasses without code, then check out Reality Composer. But to create machine learning models, you just go to this Create ML. And Apple actually bought Turi Create. It was a company that did machine learning, and they own that now. So they integrated that technology into this, and it came out really, really well. So you can see here, if I do a new project, you could do an image classifier, an object detector, sound classifier, activity classifier, text, tabular, all of these. The way I would describe it is that basically creating a machine learning model is like exporting one skill. It's like saying, I'm really good at telling if my toast is burnt. And, no one else can tell me specifically how burnt my toast is as well as I can. So if I took the time to write down or, export that skill, that's what a machine learning model is it's really good at doing one thing. So there's a machine learning model that's good at recognizing the room. And that's how augmented reality works, is that model maps the game to the world. And then on top of that, you can add your own machine learning model and say, hey, let's look at plants, tell me where the plants are. And then from there, I can add another model that says, tell me if this plant is healthy, or tell me what type of plant. Is it a tomato plant? Is it a flower? Is it, what type of plant is this? These are just, it's one thing, but you can layer these one things. And that's how you create something that's really, really abstract, really useful. And that's what I'm trying to drive here, is that it's accessible to all of you. You just need to break it down into one thing at a time and add them up. But here you would create that image classifier, you hit next, we'll just do test, and you can add a description, blah, blah, blah. We'll hit next again, you create a location, we'll do my desktop. And literally you just choose some training data here. And so I will select files, and let me just find the actual data that I use to train that model. So it'll be here in Hollow Garden, research, plant ID. And so you can see how we do this is that you break it up into folders. So you have soil, plant, miscellaneous, and equipment. And from there, that's what I did, is I put a bunch of soil pictures here in the soil, and I guess I just have to open these. So look, we'll open the plant ID model here. And yeah, this is for this demo. There's only 100 items in here, so it doesn't make a great model, but it does work. But again, I would recommend more so 600 to 1,000. Just take that time. It's something that takes a long amount of time for one day. You have a photo shoot that lasts one day, and then you have a machine learning model that works forever. So really food for thought there. And then from there, I would always recommend, I haven't read into all of this stuff. I'm not like the biggest expert on machine learning, but it just makes sense to me that, if I'm dropping in 100 pictures, why not check every single box as far as flipping it, rotating it, cropping it, blurring it, adding noise, whatever you want, because I want to make sure this model works, even if the phone is being held sideways, even if, there's high exposure outside, even if things are blurry because the user's moving. And this is, again, where Apple has just really been genius in their execution and allowed us to do this all from Xcode with no prior experience. So 1153 here, but that just is a quick one. I can't train this model now. I could, but it takes hours sometimes because, so many pictures. But you guys get the idea. It's really that easy. So once you finish doing that, I'll show you that. Once you finished Olive Garden and research. Yeah, so once you finish that, you get an ML model. You get a .ml model. And in case you guys didn't believe me, this one's 50 kilobytes, but you can see that this one, I made this in 2018 and it's 50 kilobytes. And I promise you, it definitely compressed like 1,000 pictures. So just again, reminding you guys that this has been in the works for years. It's definitely easier than ever. And, it's definitely doable. So I am going to open this up one more time. I can do, since we have like 5 more minutes or whatever. I guess we don't technically. Yeah. Let me read the questions here. Yeah, reality is great. We can make the app. Yeah. I just definitely recommend checking out all of those tools. And you can check me out. So maybe shameless plug here. I actually don't use Chrome, so it doesn't even know what I'm looking for. But if you go to my website or you just Google me, Near Future Marketing, click here. This is my website. So I built and designed all of this myself. These are all my apps. I make a lot of different apps. I design them all myself. But again, you'll see that this is what I'm working on now, is that I've created AugmaOS, and over time, I just update AugmaOS and I create different apps using AugmaOS. So this one is all about fish. There's no, random cardboard guys or anything in that one. And then this one is all about butterflies, which I'm actually about to release this week. But this one, it uses that randomization to create 1,001 different pattern butterflies. So they're all customized and different. If we have 7 people watching here, I think I'm ready to go ahead and cut. I don't want to take up too much time unless there's more questions. Thank you guys for joining me, though. I will open up and just kind of wait for anyone else to give me a cue. But at the same time here, we can go ahead and I'll show off AugmaOS a little bit more. But yeah, thank you guys. I'm just going to basically kind of go through just some other features that are just related to augmented reality and not necessarily machine learning. Yeah, so we're back in AugmaOS here, and this is that 1,001 butterflies that I just mentioned. So this is where I can show you the scale. So you can see I'm tapping really quickly here, or maybe if I do this one, it makes it more sense for you guys. But you can see that basically each one of these butterflies has a different color, different pattern. And thanks to augmented reality and some of the amazing power, that's in the iPhone these days, even from the iPhone 6S, really, you can have 1,001 live randomized butterflies in, one app. And this is going a little laggy, and I think it's because of the stream, but yeah. But you guys get the idea, is that basically this really does work here these days. And there we go, it's back now. And I can actually walk around and do things. So I can draw here. Let's see. Let's do W. And we can also change the brush. So let's do maybe like a more W. One more. We'll change it again. We will change the scale. C. Cool. And so that's for Worldwide Creators Conference. But you can see here, you can still walk around that. And you can actually see the curvature from that because I was sitting in a chair. So it really is accurately tracking every movement about a millimeter. And there's so much creative power, but there's so much, the normal things that you've seen from an iPhone application already. This is my website. I built it into all of my apps. But you guys get the idea is that there's no limitations here, especially as we get better and better phones. So definitely check out my stuff. I'm always making new stuff. And I hope to see you all soon. You can definitely also connect with me on LinkedIn. And let me just post that here. But I mean, the best way to reach me, honestly, is just go to my website, send me an email. I do respond. But if you wanted to check me out on LinkedIn, I believe it's linkedin.com. I followed Grace Ling earlier. She had a great session. But mine is Casey Pollock. Yep, that's me. So yeah, linkedin.com/n/Casey Pollock. But you can join to connect. I'm not signed in on Chrome here. But yeah, this is me, and I do AR stuff, and I love it. And yeah, you guys should definitely check it out and just reach out if you have any questions. Thank you. Cool. And so we can keep going. I don't know when exactly to cut here, but maybe we have to just transition. A little awkward, but if not, put your website here. Yes, great idea. Thank you. Nearfuture.marketing.
I love the awkwardness.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I love it too. I embrace the awkwardness. I was gonna start playing music.
Yeah, well, that leads us perfectly into our next session. I really appreciate you holding down and doing this demo, Casey. It's great to have a live demo and nothing go wrong. So
right, exactly.